A rainstorm blew through the valley this morning, giving us some much-needed rain for this drought year.
More on that rain in a minute. Welcome to this edition of ATV News. I'm Ting Yu Chen.
And I'm Eric Price. Former USU student Ayula Ajayi pleaded guilty to the 2019 murder of Mackenzie Lueck. Lisa Feinstein joins us from Logan Canyon to give us details on the case that led us to Ajayi's arrest.
Police discovered Mackenzie Lueck's body here in Logan Canyon a week after she went missing. Police say it all started when she met Ajayi on a dating app in 2018.
Mr. Ajayi pled guilty to 1 count of aggravated murder and 1 count of desecration of a human body with regards to the events on June 17, 2019 that resulted in the death of Mackenzie Lueck.
Ajayi's Salt Lake City home is where police say he took Lueck after picking her up from a park at 3 a.m. on June 17, 2019. She got a ride from a Lyft driver to the park and left with Ajayi. When she didn't show up for a test at school or her California home that weekend, the search began.
This is a case that riveted our community. We had a young, incredible woman who was a student up at the University of Utah, very much loved by her friends and our community. And her disappearance caused an understandable alarm.
In Ajayi's backyard, police found Lueck's DNA on June 26th. Neighbors told police on the 17th that Ajayi had been burning things behind his garage that, quote, smelled horrible. There, police found Lueck's belongings. In Logan Canyon, police discovered her body a week later, buried in a shallow grave, arms bound behind her back, blunt force trauma to her head. USU spokesperson Tim Vitale tells me Ajayi went to Utah State for single semesters in 2009, 2011, and 2015. The charges he pleaded guilty to aren't the only ones he's facing. Ajayi is also facing charges for another aggravated kidnapping and 3 counts of forcible sexual abuse toward another woman he met on a dating app, and 19 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor after police found child pornography on his computer. Gill says all Lueck's family wants now is privacy.
Maybe they can begin to have some sense of closure for that family and to retrieve some sense of and some measure of justice as a family.
Gill worked out a plea deal with Ajayi for life in prison without chance of parole. His formal sentencing is set on the calendar for October 23rd. Reporting from Logan Canyon, Lisa Feinstein, ATV News.
Thanks, Lisa. A neighborhood street is dry now after a sewer spill flooded 36 homes. But how has the city, cleanup crews, and residents worked together to get there?
See, it's bubbling up under the asphalt. It's going to buckle the whole street.
From the birth of a pipe, a rush of water raises the asphalt and floods yards. It has this homeowner, Chris Nelson, saying,
I sure hope they get that done on Monday.
The zipper draws her cat to what's below. Nelson gives a tour of her flooded basement.
This way.
The cleanup might present some problems.
I don't know what to do. My husband has a bad back. It's everywhere.
Sewer water went up into the toilet and bathtub. Nelson isn't happy.
When you really need the city to kick in for you, they don't. They leave you sitting for 2 days with raw sewage in your basement.
Hums of the street sweeper fill the roads as private company ARS stabilizes the 36 homes that were affected.
When we got here, it was a mess.
But Horton says it's
a lot better now.
If this were an isolated incident, ARS could focus on cleaning one home.
There's so many that need help. We're really trying to help as many as we can by getting everyone to these stable positions.
Not exciting, but very important.
Cameron Draney is the Logan Public Works Wastewater Division Manager.
You wonder how many people you put out of service. In this case, nobody likes to have their basement flooded through the sewer pipes, and so you worry about that too, and the health and making sure people are made whole.
It's more than a week later, and ARS is still here cleaning up. There are about 5 trucks on site, and 12th North is still closed. Now here, where the pipeline burst, the asphalt is still gone, leaving just dirt. But Nelson is pleased with the progress.
ARS has been amazing. They were quick and timely with how they removed things, what they did with things.
Homeowners are working with ARS and insurance companies to cover the costs of the damages.
A Cache County man has been arrested on 10 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor. Kurt Jackson was arrested for distribution of children pornography. The police searched Jackson's home on October 7th. According to law enforcement, there were cameras placed throughout his home to capture different types of sexual abuse. The report says the internet router matched the information given by the internet provider. The Attorney General's office requests no bail for the safety of the community.
Box Elder School District held a board meeting this week that lasted 10 minutes total. The board met partly to respond to parents' concerns about kids wearing masks at school. Parents filled the room ready to protest to make mask wearing a choice for kids, most refusing to wear masks themselves. Board members gave parents the option to watch on Skype from another room or mask up. When they wouldn't budge, the board voted unanimously to end the meeting.
I'm not surprised. They did this on purpose, knowing we weren't going to want to wear the masks. We don't agree with it. We don't want our kids to wear them. We don't feel this county is at risk right now, especially our kids.
Parents stayed for hours after the meeting ended. The board declined to comment on the night's events and say they will be holding their meetings virtually from now on. Coronavirus cases are on the rise in Utah. Cache County cases increased by 33 for a total of 3,376 cases. The state of Utah has 87,838 cases, with 940 new confirmed cases. Nationally, there are 54,512 new confirmed cases. That makes about 7.9 million cases nationally.
Utah is tightening COVID-19 restrictions as cases rise. They put Cache County as high level. Today, USU sent out an email to students informing them of restrictions. Cache County now is requiring social gathering to be limited to 10 people or fewer. Face covering must be worn in all indoor activities and outdoors when social distancing isn't possible. 6 feet or physical distance should be maintained when possible, and stay home if you have any sign of illness.
Utah Department of Transportation says it may now be safer for you to drive to Garden City from Logan Canyon. 5 trucks went through this intersection in 2 years. UDOT worked with Garden City to build a new truck ramp, which is now officially open.
This is a project that we're really excited to be done with. It's one of those things where we hope it never has to be used, but we're glad it's there.
A series of cable nets are supposed to catch runaway trucks. When a truck uses the ramp, UDOT employees can replace the nets within a half day. They say this takes up less space than gravel pits or ramps on the sides of hills. Garden City Mayor Mike Lenhart says that the ramp looks nicer than other types of ramps, and that's important to Garden City as a tourist destination.
Maybe you sell all of your decoration in preparation for Halloween, but Robinson Mile shows you how one entire farm gets in the Halloween spirit.
Little Bear Bottom's family farm is just off the highway in Wellsville. Spring and summer it grows corn and sod, but from late September through Halloween, it's dedicated to family fun. 16 years ago, the owners were looking for a rotation crop and decided on corn. But the buyer they had been counting on fell through.
So we had 30 acres of corn and no place to go with it. And that's when corn mazes had just started. And we says, I guess we're doing a corn maze.
Since then, they've added a straw fort playground where both kids and adults can play. A pumpkin patch where you can buy gourds or pumpkins you find yourself. And a spooky tractor ride. But because of COVID-19, this is by reservation only. They also have a haunted trail once the sun goes down, but that's not recommended for little kids.
All of the scares are made using simple machines, like the witch who stands in this spot first beckons visitors to look in this cauldron, and then when they look in one more, presses the button on this air compressor.
Movies are also projected on an outdoor screen at night. The number of activities can be overwhelming.
So our kids have been playing hide and seek in that for like close to an hour now. So we're trying to come on, let's go do the corn maze and let's go do the Haunted River Trail. So we're kind of excited.
Even though it's a lot of work, the owners enjoy giving something to the community.
A lot of people come here and enjoy it, and we're glad we can share it with them.
Robinson Miles, ATV News.
For information on hours and pricing, check out our Facebook page.
Eddie Van Halen passed away last week, but did you know that he once performed here on Utah State campus? Van Halen rocked the Spectrum on March 31st, 1979. The Statesman from that week says they were the heaviest of the hard rock bands. Warner Brothers recorded for a broadcast in Los Angeles. Cody Johnson saw the performance live.
Eddie Van Halen was just amazing. I mean, I'd never seen anybody play like that before. I like good old rock and roll, and he was incredible.
Johnson, he'll never special collections. Tickets were only $7.50.
$3 worth of green beans.
I had no idea Van Halen had been on this campus before.
Yeah, you could go to a concert that trip these days.
Coming up on ATV News.
This has made my 2020.
It wasn't the end, but a day of magic.
And Robinson Mile has the fall forecast coming up. In weather, the current temperature in Logan is 57 degrees.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
Welcome back. Petting alpacas named after Disney characters sounds like a magical event.
Yeah, and Nathaniel Gillis shows you how a local farm brings the magic to the people.
Here, do you want to pet him?
Children screaming and enchanted alpacas. Families came to this farm to touch their fibers, take pictures, and feed the animals. Alpacaholics say that's exactly what they needed.
This has made my 2020. 2020 has been so rough, and this has literally lifted my spirits.
The farm has 48 alpacas and hopes to become one of the top breeders in the nation.
Look at the way they move their mouths.
Alpacas only have bottom teeth and eat 2% of their body weight per month, making these chewers one of the cheaper livestock to raise and adds to the many reasons to own them.
The owners educate people on the three main reasons for owning alpacas: breeding, for their fiber, and as pets.
The owners breed alpacas for better fibers and can't wait to showcase their alpacas at shows. But the reason for owning alpacas?
Just to have amazing animals and enjoy them. I have never been around an animal that has such a calming influence on people.
Owners say they love the joy it brings to children, and if you have any alpaca needs, they will happily help you find your way. Chilling with Alpacas, Nathaniel Gillis, ATV News.
Owners are planning on having quarterly events starting this winter in time for Christmas.
Pilots fly into the Logan Cache Airport for breakfast once a month. Sam Walker reports on this fly-through breakfast.
Pilots from all across Utah fly to the Logan Cache Airport on the second Saturday of each month.
We like to fly both planes together when we can because it's you just have more situational awareness when you've got two planes out there looking around for other aircraft.
Joe and Steve both have their own planes that they built together and fly together, and they say it's faster than driving.
On his plane it's about 10 minutes, mine about 15.
Pancakes sizzle as pilots from all over Utah continue to fly in.
We brought our wives up to have some pancakes and scrambled eggs.
The pilots who fly in get discounted fuel for their return trip.
We heard about this event. We decided we'd come up today, get some less expensive fuel for our plane.
We joke about free breakfast, but it costs us probably $100 to get here, so we joke that it's the $100 breakfast.
These pilots fly kit planes, which are homemade or amateur-built airplanes, most of them resembling propeller planes like this one right here, but they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes.
So many great people here, so many great aircraft, planes where you won't see anywhere else.
Pilots say they enjoy seeing friends and their aircraft, but their favorite part is the flying.
So it's fun to get together, go burn some 100-octane av fuel, go have a little bit of fun, and if somebody's serving breakfast, add that on top, here we come.
Sam Walker, ATV News.
You can go see the planes and meet the pilots on the second Saturday of each month. Now to Robinson Miles for the weather.
We had a rainy morning in Cache Valley, but now we're already back in the sunshine. Welcome to ATV weather. Hurricane Dorian touched down over the weekend, and even though it dispersed quickly, the south is still looking at a lot of clouds and a lot of rain. Hurricane Dorian came only 6 weeks after Hurricane Laura touched down in almost the exact same place in Louisiana. This makes the 10th named storm that has touched down in the United States this year, passing a number that hasn't been reached in over a century. Looking to the Midwest, Michigan and Wisconsin are also looking at some substantial storms. But then as we look further west, you'll see that the radar picks up not only clouds and precipitation, but also smoke. And that's why we've seen this consistent color over California for the past few weeks, as they've been dealing with forest fires. Now, the rest of this area in between is relatively clear. So let's take a look at our state radar. Now, this color is going to look familiar to anyone who woke up to the sound of rain this morning. All of this is where we got our rainy morning from here in Cache Valley. Now, things are going to keep getting a little bit colder and as we approach winter, but looking at the way things are right now, we have really clear skies. There hasn't been any sort of bad air quality warnings. But let's take a look at the effect that the cooler temperatures have had on Logan Canyon. Now, this was shot on Sunday at the Spring Hollow Campground up Logan Canyon, where the fall colors are still in full force. But as the temperature continues to drop and as we keep having rain, these leaves are going to continue to change and continue to fall. So now is the time to go out and see those fall colors before they're gone. Now let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. Now, last week, we started out with some summery highs that moved into some autumn lows later on, but this week, we have chilly temperature all throughout. Now, the highs are set so that they're around about the range of 60, only going above it on Saturday and generally staying below. Now, the lows are starting to consistently settle below freezing. Now, this is especially important tonight because we expect that tonight's going to be the first heavy freeze of the season, meaning that if you've left out a hose or a sprinkler system full of water, you might have something unfortunate to look for in the morning. So you're all caught up on weather. Back to you, Ting-Yu.
Thanks, Robinson. Communicating in sign language rely on your hand and your facial expression. Sam Walker tells us how ASL group here in US here has been trying to teach without half of that.
Our ASL classes are blended. In class with masks for face-to-face. Second, there's pre-recorded videos online. So the students can watch, understand, and practice. In class with the masks and then online.
The deaf community uses video technology to communicate in order to show facial expression while maintaining social distance. Marco Polo, FaceTime, and other video platforms are used.
Having it online is actually really difficult. Most of the language retention is with practice. Although we can do Zoom calls and I can watch lectures, there's just so much more to the sign than just your hands.
Here at USU, it's back to business as usual. We're back in school, back in classes, wearing our masks. But for the people in the deaf community,
it's been difficult to communicate with masks on.
The students can't see. Sign language is so much more than just what you do with your hands. It involves facial expression, eyebrows, eyes, mouth movements, and the mask just prevents that.
Sam Walker, ATV News.
Just changing your facial expression, you can change your statement into a question.
That's interesting. And coming up on ATV News.
You have a lot of fun when you're playing, when you're practicing, and when you're playing other teams.
Why play football or basketball when you can play Quidditch? Defensive plays stood out on Friday night. Jonathan May will give you the highlights after the break.
Look at me. Hey.
Raymond, look at Mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe it's a phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
You sure you don't want some? It's chamomile. Listen, you are extremely terrifying. Just the scariest undead subhuman thing on TV, and I really mean that. But I am worried that you could give my kids nightmares if they see you, so I'm gonna have to block you. So that's it. Oh, and tell the zombies they're blocked too.
And that's it. It's over. This historic 2020 NBA championship belongs to the Los Angeles Lakers.
One team is victorious after 3 months of NBA action in the Orlando bubble. Welcome to this edition of ATV Sports. I'm Jonathan May. On Sunday, the Lakers captured their 17th championship. The Lakers started off turning defense into offense with this steal by Anthony Davis, which led to this one-handed slam by LeBron James. Then, Davis will get to work in the low post with this two-handed flush. That was barbecue chicken. LeBron, who led the league in assists, would find Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in the corner, and KCP would knock down the three, giving the Lakers a 30-point lead. In the second half, playoff Rondo would hit this triple as the Lakers would continue to pour it on. Then, at the end of the fourth, King James would put on the finishing touches with this elbow jumper. The Lakers would win this one 106-93. And King James just wants one thing.
We just want our respect. Rob wants his respect. Coach Vogel wants his respect. Our organization wants their respect. Laker Nation wants their respect. And I want my damn respect too.
LeBron James is the only player in NBA history to win Finals MVP with 3 different teams. In the NFL, a former Aggie found his way into the end zone. Kyler Fackrell picked off Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott and took it all the way to the house for a Giants touchdown. It was a 46-yard interception return by Fackrell. And this wasn't the first time Fackrell scored on a pick six. In 2013, on a 3rd and goal, Fackrell stopped Hawaii from scoring with this interception. Fackrell would run it back 99 yards for the Aggie touchdown. Utah State would end up winning the game, 47-10. Aggie football fans hope to see big plays like this when the Aggies return to Maverick Stadium on October 31st. Skyview was unbeaten heading into their game with Bear River on Friday. Skyview would put up 36 points, including this touchdown pass from Kason Carlson to wide receiver Titan Saxton. The Bobcats would score again with this goal line handoff to senior running back Walter Collins. And on the defensive side of the ball, the Bobcats would seal the game with this interception by defensive back Sam Thatcher. Skyview would win this game 36-20. These Aggies don't play for Gryffindor or Slytherin, but they do play Quidditch. Brooms between the legs and quaffles through hoops. These Aggies are playing a game meant for witches and wizards.
You meet a lot of people that are really nice, and it's a really great environment. You have a lot of fun when you're playing, when you're practicing, and when you're playing other teams.
Players say riding on a broomstick takes some getting used to.
I'd say for like the first month or two maybe, it's definitely really weird to have, the broom between your legs, but after that, it's just natural, it's part of the game, and you get used to it pretty quick.
In the wizarding world of Harry Potter, they use wands to cast spells. And these Aggies say if it weren't for their love of the books and movies, they wouldn't be playing Quidditch.
I am a fan. That's originally what got me interested. I read the books, I watched the movies growing up, and I found out it was a real thing. So I was like, oh, that'd be cool to try.
While the game of Quidditch is magical, the people who play it don't have to be.
We have people who have been playing sports all their lives, people from different kind of sports. We have rugby, we have football, we have cross country. We have no sports, people who've never played a sport before.
Because of the Muggle virus, COVID-19, the Quidditch team will play their first game next semester. For now, they'll practice riding on their Nimbus 2000s. At Utah State School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, you too can be a Quidditch player, but only if you solemnly swear you're up to no good. Now you're all caught up on ATV Sports. Back to you, Tingya.
Thanks, Jonathan. Research shows masks can prevent the spread of COVID-19, but can masks prevent you from getting a date?
Social activity was one of the ways for everyone to meet new people at USU. But with the outbreak of COVID-19, what are people doing now?
I was definitely worried about meeting people because I didn't want to risk it and I wanted to obey restrictions a bit more carefully.
It's definitely gone to online. Got a few dating apps, so.
Does people still meeting new people?
I haven't been meeting too many new people because of COVID, like I would normally in a physical class or something like that.
Since the pandemic, there are more people meeting new friends on dating apps. But what are some risks?
Under the cover of the mask, it's like putting a filter on everyone's face.
Like everyone is a 6 and up until proven otherwise, because someone might be like, oh, he looks kind of cute, and then he takes off his mask, and you're like, oh, maybe not so cute anymore. So there's definitely an advantage where someone can be like, oh, I love her eyes, but you're like, you don't know what's under here.
I think the masks definitely make dating life harder. It's harder to understand people. It's harder to have that contact with them. And
will they still consider to meet new people?
I think there is some risks, but as long as you're comfortable with the person and if they're comfortable with meeting you, I feel like it's all right.
Yu Chen, ATV News.
Some students say they feel at risk meeting new people during a pandemic, but they found they can still make new friends as long as they mix up.
The 2019 Cash Rendezvous Halloween Special won the Rocky Mountain Student Production Award for Best College Program for Best Magazine Program. Producers adopted an Addams Family theme to bring a different energy to the show. Stories included the history of zombies, a pumpkin trebuchet event, and a corn maze spotlight.
Really everyone got behind their stories, and that's what made everything so good, is it was all a team. Everyone came together to really make this fun show.
This is a student production award from the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences.
Isn't that the same organization that does the Emmys?
Yeah, it is.
This is the 8th student production award that ATV News has won over the last decade.
We hope to win many more.
Thanks for joining us on this edition of ATV News.
You can find all the latest edition on our Facebook page.
We'll leave you with a look at the Enchanted Baby Alpacalypse event.